Go ahead and get started. Anyway, welcome everyone. Welcome to the library. Also welcome to you at home watching over Zoom. Today we have with us Tom Kilkenny from Weiss Ratings. Tom's going to show you how to choose the best Medicare supplement for you, and also how to use the Medigap tool, which is one of the many online resources that the library offers through our website. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Tom.
Thank you so much, Jean. I start off every single one of my presentations. You guys have wonderful reference librarians, and they live and they breathe to give you information. And I think over the last 10 to 15 years, reference librarians have become the most unutilized resource. And I think that more often than not, if you have questions, concerns, if you want to be pointed in the right direction for any subject whatsoever, reach out to your reference librarians like Jean. They're always happy. If they don't have the answer for you, they'll get the answer for you. They love it. So my name is Tom Kilkenny. I'm with Weiss Financial Ratings, Gray House Publishing. Tell you a little bit about who we are. I'll give you a little information on myself. Obviously, you might want to know where is this information coming from. Weiss Financial Ratings has been around for over 40 years. We provide buy, hold, and sell recommendations for every single financial instrument known to man. For our public libraries, which is our primary resource, we give buy, hold, and sell recommendations for stocks, mutual funds, and exchange-traded funds. Also part of that database is financial strength and credit worthiness ratings of banks, credit unions, and insurance companies. And two very unique portions of that database. One is the financial literacy tools, which are 33 PDF file books that are published by Gray House Publishing. They are proprietary. They are updated at least once a year. And especially in the state of Illinois, Financial Literacy Month, which is April, and I don't know if they call it Money Smart Week anymore.
No, Money Smart.
Yeah, I think there was a legal battle there. I don't know why any legal battle would go in with literacy, but I guess. But Illinois is very, very big, and I actually provide our database to a ton of your neighboring libraries. But none of your neighboring libraries utilize the database quite nearly as much as Schaumburg does. So I'm always excited to come and present, whether it be via Zoom from New York or come visit here for Schaumburg. You guys utilize the database more than San Francisco does. Population of 110,000, population of 4.2 million. San Francisco utilizes the database, they certainly do. You guys just are on another level. So we always thank you for that. And the other portion of our database that makes us very unique is our Medicare Medigap supplemental pricing tool. Okay, and with that portion of the database, you get an opportunity to go in, that is, if a supplemental policy is most appropriate for you. Based upon one's age, gender, and zip code, we pull every single insurance company that is capable of writing a policy in the Schaumburg, Illinois area. We give you their safety rating, their annual premium, the monthly premium, and even more importantly, their contact information, so that if you want to give them a call and see if you qualify for any one of those policies, go right ahead and make that phone call. That is, if a supplemental policy is most appropriate for you. I'm also with Gray House Publishing. Gray House Publishing, I see some of the librarians, they shake their head. We've been providing print reference material for libraries across the country for a half a century. Neither one of these organizations make markets in securities or trade securities. So you'll see as I go through the demonstration, we are probably, Forbes magazine and Wall Street Journal considered us one of, if not the only, independent and unbiased resources for those needs. Me, myself, 35 years as a wealth manager. About 5 years ago, I decided to sell my practice and trade in working with extremely demanding clients and work with amazing, smiling reference librarians. It's a complete 180, and my blood pressure used to be from here, it's like down here now. I still do have a handful of clients that I manage their estate, but I don't trade their accounts. Most of them are actors, actresses, and entertainers who unfortunately had trust issues earlier on in their career with other people managing their money. So when I said I'm selling the practice, you know where it's going? They said, no, I'm not going anywhere. You're like family and you're not leaving me. And I said, well, I'm not trading accounts anymore. I don't care about you trading my account. I want to make sure that my estate is safe. And that's fine. But so with that being said, the one thing that I will give you today with Weiss Financial Ratings, we are absolutely independent, unbiased, and we try to be as accurate as possible. One of the things I do want to explain today, today we're going to go over what Medicare is, what Medicare will pay for, what are we responsible as the insured to pay for, and then we'll talk about some possible options if Medicare isn't enough for you. Maybe you want to look at a Medicare Advantage plan or a supplemental plan, better yet known as Medigap. I am not going to steer you in any direction. That's not what I'm here to do today. I'm here to give information, and then if a supplemental policy is most appropriate, and it seems like nowadays it's more of the motion that people are going to. I'll show you how you can utilize the resource that Schaumburg Public Library provides, because they subscribe to the Weiss Financial Ratings, okay? Very informal, it's just who I am, so if you have questions, don't hesitate. Like I mentioned earlier on, you might want to keep personal personal questions for maybe afterwards. We don't want everybody in Zoom land or the town of Schaumburg to know your personal situation, so I would always refrain from that. But if you have general questions or questions that you think I might be able to answer, I'll certainly do that. I am not an expert in this. I know enough to be dangerous, that I do. I will show you on one of the slides the experts, and those are the ship counselors. They live and they breathe Medicare. That's what their job is. They are government employees. For me, it's my job to be very proficient in our entire database, and hopefully some of you have had the opportunity or will have the opportunity to go see the database, and you'll say to yourself, wow, Tom needs to be pretty proficient in a lot of things. So the Medicare and Medigap discussion is designed to help you navigate through the Medicare maze. You notice how I use that word maze? Because the second you get there, it's confusing. My primary goal today is to tell you the choices you have available to you and help you save as much money as possible. At the end of the discussion, you'll be able to download your own customized Medigap report that can help you find and select the best Medicare supplement insurance policy for you with the strongest companies for the least amount of money. And why? Because the Schaumburg Public Library subscribes to the Weiss Financial Ratings, so it is free to you. Sometimes I should change that because everybody pays taxes, so is anything necessarily free? Well, to utilize the resource, it's not costing you anything, so I guess we could stick with that. Here's some of the things that we're going to cover today. Major expenses that Medicare doesn't cover. You see my instant New York comes out in me, and it should say does not, but we're always trying to speed up the process, so I just put doesn't. When is open enrollment? And what does that actually mean? Why Medigap can be better than Medicare Advantage? You notice I use the word can. More often than not, it is better than Medicare Advantage, but there are a couple of Medicare Advantage programs out there that are still pretty decent. How to get lower premiums, save hundreds, even thousands of dollars in the state of Illinois. We could probably just get rid of hundreds, and it's thousands. In the state of New York and Connecticut and Massachusetts, I think we have like between New York, we have between 6 and 10 companies we could choose from. Connecticut, Massachusetts has like 4. You guys have like 30. And because you have 30, you guys typically get better rates than we get as well. When can you join Medicare? Well, we have the 7-month enrollment period. Obviously, we have 3 months prior to our 65th birthday. We obviously have the month of our 65th birthday or 3 months following our 65th birthday. The open enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th. Obviously now, more than ever, you're seeing infomercial after infomercial about supplemental policies and advantage policies. You're probably getting emails, you're probably getting text messages, you're probably getting calls from brokers. This is the time to do it. Also, if you're still working and covered by your employer's insurance, Medicare can supplement your employer's insurance as well. A lot of questions come out, I'm not working anymore, but I'm under my wife's insurance. She has great insurance, so I'm not really going with any supplementals or advantages right now because I'm covered under my wife's or vice versa. So those are questions that come out quite often. But if you are still working and you're covered by insurance, just know that Medicare can also supplement that. When can you change your plan? A lot of people think once they're in a plan, they're sort of stuck there, they have to stay there. That's incorrect. Every year during the open enrollment from October 15th to December 7th, you can change that coverage. You can change insurance companies. You can go from a Plan A to a Plan G. I'll explain what all that is as we go on. Most importantly, there are a lot of people that go ahead and buying the insurance. October 17th rolls around, they call, maybe they want the Plan G. The Plan G is considered the most comprehensive supplemental plan. It's almost like the HMO, PPO. And they bind the policy October 17th. And next thing you know, they're taking an appointment with their doctor November 1st, and they're trying to utilize some of the benefits that are in that Plan G. And next thing you know, they get hit with a bill. And the reason why they got hit with the bill is because the coverage doesn't start until January 1st. And they felt like, well, I already bind the insurance. I already have it. And it's, yeah, but it doesn't take effect till January 1st. So please make note of that. If you do bind insurance, know that that policy doesn't go into effect until January 1st. Here are the 4 parts, really only 2 parts of Medicare. I really wish at some point they would change the bottom 2 because they really are not part of the Medicare equation. You have your Medicare Part A, which is your hospitalization insurance, inpatient into the hospital. And your Medicare Part B, which is your medical insurance that's going to see your doctor on an everyday basis. Medicare Part C, Medicare Advantage, it's really, you'll see it's not part of the Medicare plan. And Medicare Part D, that's really not part of the Medicare plan either. And I'll explain as we go a little further in. Here's Medicare Part A. It covers hospital-related services and emergency care like inpatient hospitalization, home health services and skilled nursing services, and hospice. One important thing, Medicare Part A does not cover all of your hospital costs, and it absolutely does not cover long-term care. Part B. This is your regular doctor's office visits, laboratory services if you need to get blood work done, ambulatory services and diagnostic services if you need to have like an EKG or something like that. That's all covered under the Medicare Part B. And most people, after reading Part A and Part B, they think they're totally covered. And that's not the case. Medicare does not cover all the costs associated with hospital and medical insurance, and it does not include prescription drug coverage. People see Part D and they automatically think they have prescription drug coverage. Now, if you're in the hospital, they'll provide, you know, the medication for you in the hospital, but if you're at home, you're on your own. You have to get that yourself. This is a slide that everyone, yeah, that's you typically when the phones come out, when this slide pops up. Here I want to go over costs. So let's say we get admitted to the hospital. Days 1 through 60, we are responsible for the first $1,632 before Medicare pays anything. Well, let's say we need to stay 61 to 90 days. This is on top of the $1,632. We're responsible to pay the first $408 per day. Let's say it costs $500 per day to be in the hospital. We're responsible to pay the first $408. Medicare will kick in and they'll pay the $92 following. Let's hope we don't have to be in there 91 to 150 days. That's $816 per day. That's a tiki hut in Bora Bora. I'd much rather spend my time there than in the hospital. Now that's just Part A. Now for some people, they put themselves in a financial position as they get a little older that maybe the $1,632 doesn't move mountains for them. But one thing I do know for a lot of seniors that are living on a fixed income, an unexpected $1,632 can absolutely dent the pocket pretty hard. And that's the difference possibly between putting milk and bread on a table and not. And you really never want to sort of put yourself in that position. The Part B annual deductible is $240 per year. So, you know, when you go visit your doctor and you get your physical and any blood work or anything, you will be responsible to pay the first $240 of that bill per year. And this is the Part B monthly premium. Most people have it taken out of their Social Security. If they're on Social Security, they have it automatically deducted from their Social Security check. It's $174.90. That does depend on your income. That changes typically when your income level is pretty high. There are still some people that are retired that are on Medicare, but they've done well, so maybe they're earning $125,000, $150,000 a year. That number typically goes up, but to be quite candid with you, when you're earning that type of money per year, the extra $25, $50 a month doesn't really move mountains for you. But that's typically the number, $174.90 a month. You see the skilled nursing care, days 21 through 100, they cover the first 20 days. After that, it's $200 per day. Yes?
Quick question, on the Part B monthly premium, is there an escalator currently in Medicare that for 1 year or 10 years, or at some point in time? I think when I first got on Medicare, it was, what, 135 or something like that. I don't know, 7 years ago.
I would probably talk to the SHIP counselor about that because that does change on an annual basis.
Yeah. I didn't know if there was a COLA or something that goes in with that. Or...
Yeah, I would.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's getting really intricate with things, and they are.
It's a cost that continues.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, absolutely. The monthly premium goes up almost every year. I could tell you last year. This number was $1,600, this was $400, and this was $800, and this was actually $164.90. So yeah, you know, has it moved tremendously? No, but it moves. Other hidden costs that Medicare doesn't cover, none of these are covered. Now here's where I'm in trouble. I'm not quite near Medicare yet. Although I know I'm fully gray in the beard, that's probably all the stress. Yeah, a little dark hair helps a little bit, but many of my clients put me through this. But for me, If I was 65, I'm going to show you exactly where I'm in trouble. Prescription drugs. Not covered. Body by Portillo's. So I am on Ramipril. And my wife says, it's very easy to get off Ramipril, Tom. Just change your eating habits. And I say, you know what? I like my eating habits. So I'm on Ramipril. So there's one X for me. Vision. 5 years ago, I had eagle-like vision. I was an athlete and everything else. Well, that's X number 2 for me. Emergency care abroad. Besides traveling the country with Weiss Financial Ratings, I also do a significant amount of traveling to Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and of course Europe. So for me, I need emergency care abroad. That's X number 3 for me. Dental. Who can chomp into a good Chicago dog without a good set of teeth? And typically when they are your own teeth, it tastes just a little bit better. So dental is important. And then last but certainly not least, hearing aids. My kids tell me all the time, Dad, I think you need hearing aids. I tell them it's just selective listening, especially when it comes to my daughter. She's always asking for something. I say, go ask Mom. I'm not gonna ask Mom. Well, why not? She always says no. I said, exactly. I always say yes. That's why I say, go ask your mother. But, I'd be in trouble. All 5 of these is something that I need. So almost for me, on a personal level, I would have to go with the supplemental policy. I'd have to have it. When Medicare was established in 1965, it was never meant to cover all the medical care for your senior years. Well, let's remember that 1965, that was right around the time where Medicaid came into play, welfare came into play. It was really meant to be a Band-Aid for a short period of time to help people get through. Somehow it stuck around like luggage, and it's still here. And unfortunately, some people use it as political tug of war, so I don't think it's ever going anywhere. And we've paid a certain amount into it, so we're entitled to it. So why not utilize it? It was really only intended to cover the most basic of needs. And if you needed vaccines, if you needed blood work, or you got sick, you could get taken care of. But more importantly, it's very important for everyone in this room and on Zoom land to realize that you do have choices in regards to your overall health care. Now, you can absolutely stick with the Medicare Part A and Part B. Take the dice, roll it, hope that you never get sick, that you're never going to get hit with the 1632 or the 408. Or you could purchase additional coverage, and of course you can make that decision based upon your own unique healthcare needs. 2 choices to fill the gap. You have your Medicare Advantage Part C, and you have Medicare Supplement Insurance, better yet known as Medigap. This is why I wish they would just get rid of Medicare Part C. Coverage is provided by a private insurance, and it's limited to a defined network of doctors. This is not government-driven. This is third-party private insurance, and it is defined network of doctors that you get a chance to go see. Now, somebody tried calling me out in Ohio 2 weeks ago and said, but I went and I saw any doctor I want with my Advantage plan. I said, yeah, okay. I said, how much did you pay? Well, I paid a little bit more. I said, because you went out of network. Yeah. And I said, well, we're talking about in-network things now. So it is a defined network of doctors that are covered within your plan. Cash is king. Anybody could go see any doctor they want. You give them a credit card, you give them cash, you're good to go. But the second you go out of network, they're going to hit you for more money. So it's important to know that. It does combine Part A and Part B, and oftentimes Part D prescription drugs. They'll offer a small prescription plan in there as well for you. Medicare Supplement Insurance, better yet known as Medigap. It does cover the deductibles and the co-payments and the co-insurance. So the 1632, the 408, the 816, it covers all of that. It's designed to fill in the gaps that Medicare Part A and Part B does not cover. This is another slide people love. It's the side-by-side comparison. It shows Medigap is higher premiums, but no copays. You have the freedom to choose your doctors, no referrals are necessary. Some of the routine services are not covered, like vision and hearing. Boo. Covered anywhere in the US, and 6 plans offer coverage abroad. When you take a look at the Advantage plan, you generally have lower premiums, but you do have copays. You may be restricted to a network of doctors. More often than not, you are restricted to a network of doctors, especially locally. You may need referrals to visit specialists. The one nice thing, many of them do include the vision, the hearing, and fitness. I know last year they were talking about getting rid of fitness. If you Google Medicare Advantage and you just even put the word class in there, you'll just see class action lawsuit almost everywhere. So they're not government regulated Advantage plans, and they were having some major issues with disclosures. And I hear a lot of seniors overall, everything is covered. And then they get sick. And then all of a sudden they get hit with bills. And they said, but I thought I was covered. And then all of a sudden in small print, there it is, the disclosure. But the person who sold the policy didn't disclose to them that there's just a certain amount of things that are covered. So they didn't get rid of the fitness because they said, we're in a little bit of trouble right now, and let's not shake the tree too hard. Let's let them keep their fitness. And outside of your service area, you're limited to emergency services only. So again, the last thing you want to do is visit another state, visit another country, get sick. And yes, ma'am.
So you say that Medigap is higher premium than the Medicare Advantage. Can you give an idea of, is there a ballpark where each of these are?
You know, so I guess the question for Zoom land, if they didn't hear, because I think it was a pretty good question. I'm okay at doing this. So the question was higher premiums versus general lower premiums. Again, there's 10 different plans. So you could have a plan A, which is a little cheaper than the rest of the plans. Some of the premiums that you'll see here could wind up being between $70 and $150. Again, it's private insurance, so there is no regulation on the pricing or anything. Here, the reason why we have the supplemental pricing tool is because you can have the same plan G, and I'll go over all of plan G and everything else and all the different plans. One company can be as high as like $5,000. The next company could be $1,500. Yeah, that's why it's important to have this supplemental pricing tool so you can effectively be frugal with your money and shop. Because nowadays, you might get on a phone, and that's probably another thing that I want to bring up as well. I may mention the name of companies by all means. It's only for example purposes. I'm not telling you to go out and get that company. I'm not telling you it's a bad company. I've used some for example purposes only, okay? I just want to make sure I'm Mr. Neutral in all of this. Medigap plans offer identical coverage. It's something people don't realize. There are currently 10 plans, plan A through N. Plan F and G also have an additional high deductible. Does anybody not know what high deductible means? Awesome. So we're taking a little bit of gamble, we're taking a little shared risk on, so typically the premiums are a little bit less. Insurance companies like that because they know if you're going to pay a little high deductible there, you're probably going to take better care of yourself. But more importantly, for every leaded plan, every insurer that offers that plan, they offer the same exact benefits. So if I have a Plan G, and let's say it's with Humana, and you have a Plan G, and it's with State Farm, the benefits inside that Plan G are exactly the same, regardless of the insurance company. And that is regulated by the government. They regulate it. All plans, all Plan A's have to have the same benefits. All Plan B's have to have the same benefits. The only thing that the government doesn't regulate is how much you pay. And that's why shopping is very, very important. Questions you might want to ask yourself if you're looking at a supplemental plan. What's your income? Can I afford to go with a more comprehensive plan? The last thing you ever want to do is strap yourself because of an insurance policy. Do you think you will want or need nursing care? So I share a personal story here. My mother had cardiovascular disease. She passed away a little more than 4 years ago. And I'll never forget my mother coming out of the hospital. They sent her to a nursing home. And I'll tell you, it was like the Taj Mahal of all nursing homes. And I went in there and I was like, hey, I would want to live here. Like, this is nice. 20 days came up. My mother is a hard-headed Sicilian. Well, no, I don't need anything extra. I'm good with my Medicare. I'm good, Tommy. I don't need anything. Okay, Mom. I yes, my mother to death. Yeah, Mom, not a problem. Yeah, no big deal. And then it came down to 20 days is up. Your mom has Medicare. We don't have any open beds for Medicare patients. We need to find an open bed for her at another nursing facility. Man, I never felt lower than low. That's my mother. And hearing somebody say an open bed, it's like an open bed. And it's ingrained in my head. And I share this story so much because it's still, I see her face right now as I tell you, looking up at me, Tommy, I don't want to go anywhere else. Like, it's nice here. The food is good. The people are nice. We play cards. We do things. I don't want to go anywhere. And that's my mother. I've killed myself my entire life. I've hustled my entire life. I've worked my tail off. I give my arms and my legs for my mother. I said, Mom, you want to stay here? She's like, I want to stay here, Tommy. I turned around and I said, well, if I pay you privately, they said, she has a bed here. So I went and I gave her my account. I said, just take it out monthly. I don't care. Whatever she needs, just take it out. It's my mother. Now, my brother's an executive for Altice Optimum, which is similar to your Comcast. So, of course, when I was done, I was like, hey, Bobby, you're going halves with me. And he was like, well, it's for Mom. Yeah, of course. 9 months, well, a little over 8 months later, it was about $90,000. Yeah, it's expensive. So if you have family that has spent time there, and I say this to myself, I never want my kids to see me say, Lorenzo Chase, don't put me anywhere else. I want to be here. I don't want to be in that situation. So you definitely want to think about that. And if you travel overseas, there is coverage for emergency care with Plan C through G, MNN. And I will tell you, when I visit Thailand, just like New York, you pass the hot dog cart in the street, and you say to yourself, I probably shouldn't, but we call them dirty water dogs. You always say, just like cake and a shake, you shouldn't, but you do. In Thailand, the best food is the street market food. And at some point, if you travel there enough, you're going to get food poisoning. It's going to happen. And then you get dehydrated, and they send you to their hospital, which is nothing like our hospitals. And they say you're dehydrated. And they give you the IV. They pump the juice into you to get your levels up. And it could be 6 hours later, and they check your vitals. Your vitals are back up. Okay, you go. Like, what? I'm getting ready to get on a 19-hour flight. What do you mean, get up and go? Do you have credit card? Do you have cash? Because it's not like here where you give them a social security number and they'll bill you. They'll just kick you right out. So it's important. You had a question?
You can get coverage for emergency care in a foreign country. That's an additional to, if you have plan C through N.
Correct.
It's an additional charge?
No,
to get coverage?
it's in those plans.
So what if you don't need that?
Then you pick a plan that doesn't have it, and it's typically, most of the times, a little bit cheaper.
You previously said that Plan G would be probably the most advantageous for us. So if I get Plan G,
That has,
automatically covered for foreign country
yeah.
that I don't need.
I'll use a scenario if there's homeowners here. And sometimes I use this example because it hits home. So if you are a homeowner, a lot of people get automobile insurance. I don't know if anybody knows what like 20, 50, 10 is, 100, 300, 100 is, 250, 500, 250. That's the coverage for your automobile insurance. Now, most insurance agents will tell you, if you own a home, especially in Illinois or New York, you want 250, 500, or 250 at the minimum, because you can't even buy a crack house here for less than 500,000. That's just, it is what it is. Let's just call it a spade a spade. It's very expensive. The last thing you want, if you accidentally hurt somebody, is to lose your house because you didn't have enough insurance to cover you. A lot of people actually do an umbrella policy to completely cover yourself. And I find it somewhat amusing that people will go spend money on that, but when it comes to their own health care, I mean, they'll be as frugal as it gets. Like, is your house worth more than your health? It still puzzles me to this day. But Plan G is the most comprehensive. So to me, that's like having an umbrella policy. So hopefully that was an example that sort of like brought it down to the level where, you know, there are some people that just feel comfortable having the type of coverage that they need. If you can afford it, you know, and your own personal situation falls into play. For me, you know, and again, it's my own personal situation. I'm a Plan G all day, every day. Yes, ma'am.
But still, even if you have Plan G, you still have to pay out of pocket in Europe or wherever overseas first before, because that's a US thing, right?
No, you're covered. They'll pay if you're overseas.
You give them your Medicare card and they'll bill?
You give them your Medicare card, and your supplemental will act as, yeah, will cover that, absolutely.
They don't do it with regular insurance. It's not how it works with regular insurance.
Supplemental insurance has coverage abroad. If you pick one of these plans, they have coverage abroad. Deciding between Medigap plans. Obviously, we just talked about this. Paying higher premiums for more comprehensive coverage, or you pay a little less for your premium and potentially pay more out of pocket. Again, if you have a policy, but it doesn't allow for coverage abroad, you're gonna pay out of pocket for that. This is another slide, everybody. Yeah, I see the cameras come out, whoa. This shows you exactly what's covered in each plan. Obviously, Plan A is the least comprehensive, but it's also the cheapest. Plan F and G are the most comprehensive. I'll go over Plan F. Plan F isn't really available anymore, but if you had Plan F prior to January 1st, 2020, you're grandfathered in, you can keep it. If you didn't, it's an irrelevant feature in this conversation because it's no longer offered. But Plan G is the alternative to Plan F. And I'll tell you, in 2017, when they discontinued Plan F and they only had the Plan G, you're required to pay the deductible, the annual deductible. Plan F, they covered everything, including that small deductible. People were up in arms. They brought it back, and then in 2020, they did away with it again. And I say to them, what is it? Like, I don't want to pay the deductible. Well, let's take a quick look. Plan F, $1,478. Plan G, $1,332. Plan F is always a little more expensive than Plan G, so it sort of offsets that deductible. So we're really talking about $100. And I would say to them, are you really going to let $100 like cause you to have that much stress in your life? And people were like, you know what, you're right. Plan F is a little more expensive. Medigap plans are standard, but the rates are not. Yes?
On that slide that you just had, it said the rates may vary. Is that based on income or just that they vary from year to year? What does that mean?
Well, one, they're going to vary from year to year.
Yeah.
They're going to vary from insurance company to insurance company, which we'll go over. Rates may vary because if you go to Medicare, the website, you can actually get a list of insurance companies that are available here. However, it's not going to be nearly as comprehensive as what we're going to pull up, because we're going to pull up preferred, standard, level 2. Level 2 is just a better term than substandard. I think they finally got smart and realized people don't like the word substandard when it comes to their health. So it's level 2 now. Tobacco and non-tobacco, and select. Select means that you're okay. I always have the tale of two grandmothers. My one grandmother, which, I think I had made mention, I have the last name Kilkenny, which is as Irish as it gets, but I'm actually 3/4 Sicilian. So for us, it was Nono and Nana. And my Nana lived in Howard Beach, Queens, and she lived with us for a while. And if I told her, Nana, we're going to Bayonne, she would say, oh my God, I don't want to go all the way over there. I said, Nana, it's a 30-minute ride. It's not that far. For my Nana, walking 20 minutes to the Aqueduct Flea Market was like a big adventure for her every Sunday. So for her, a select plan is perfect. It's in her area. She's never going anywhere. My other grandmother, she traveled everywhere, Fiji Islands, everything. For her, she had to have something more comprehensive because she traveled so much and she would get sick. Obviously, as she got older, she sometimes would get sicker more often. So again, you want to select the plan that's most appropriate for you. Insurance premiums can vary thousands of dollars a year for the same exact coverage. Here in Illinois, oh, bingo, absolutely. I'm actually going to show you female, age 65, living in Illinois. Now, I'm going to explain to you that I pulled up Plan G. I did the example on a Plan G, which is the most comprehensive. I pulled up two nationally brand name companies. If you want to ask what the name of the company is, I will share that with you. The highest one was actually a national brand name company. The lowest one was not. It was SBLI Life Insurance. Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I didn't put it there. I went with one that was a couple of And this is the worst case scenario. How much money would this lady have saved because she shopped? $31,000 and change. Now, we already know that premiums are going to go up, inflation is going to go up. This actually, if you compound it, is probably closer to $41,000, $42,000. I would much rather my grandmother drive around in a brand new Toyota Camry than give it to a nationally brand name company because they solicited her and she felt like she could afford it. So she went with it.
What was the brand name company?
Well, there you go. Got the question. The highest premium was the United Healthcare through AARP.
Oh my God.
The lowest, did you guys want to know the lowest one? That was USAA Life Insurance Company. Now, I always hear about the military thing, so I always come prepared for, I think it's like another $103. State Farm is right there as well. That's another national brand name company. Does anybody want to know what the safety ratings are on either one of these? Sure, why not? United Healthcare through AARP. United Healthcare, AARP, synonymous for seniors, C+. USAA Life, B+. B+. Male, age 68, living in Illinois. Same Plan G. By the way, same companies came up. Save you guys the question. That's a lot of money. Just so you know, I ran these numbers on Thursday last week. These are as accurate and they're standard. These are under the standard rating. And I can tell you that we are very rarely off by more than $1. Now for our couples in the house, this is where it gets like frightening. Yeah, yeah. Like I've worked my tail off. I've done okay in life, but I even see that number and I'm like, man, that's crazy. Much more achievable. I'm okay with that number. Now for that couple, how much are they saving if Orion's belt was perfectly aligned? Now we're not talking about a Toyota Camry, now we're looking at Lexus. Now we're gonna drive in style. And it's simply because we were frugal and we shopped. I highly recommend everybody, even if you love the company and you love your rate, it would behoove you not to go in every year and see what your options are. If you're already in a supplemental plan and you already have one, you don't go through underwriting again. If you went from Medicare Advantage into a supplemental, they're gonna put you through underwriting. Some people try to play the hopscotch with it and go back and forth. No, you're gonna get underwritten every single time you go back to a supplemental policy. How safe is your insurer? It's important. Every and anything that Weiss Financial Ratings does is purely fundamental. Numbers and indexes. 9.5 out of 10 times numbers never lie. And you can't go back and change numbers. Analyst reports, forecasting, all that stuff can change like that. So we do things much more conservatively than anybody else. And we use the traffic light model. We make it real simple. If it's green, it means the numbers were very favorable. We like the company. We think that it all depends on what portion of the database you're on. If it's stocks, mutual funds, or exchange traded funds, we think it's something you should either continue researching, maybe you should buy, or stay with it. If it goes to insurance companies, it means they're highly rated, their ability to pay, their 5 financial pillars are in place and we like them. If it's yellow, it doesn't mean run to or run from it. It just means that the numbers weren't quite where we wanted them to be. Just like a traffic light, if it turns yellow, you're gonna enter with caution, and that's what I would suggest. If it's red, D or E, in the words of Jenny to Forrest. Run, Forrest, run. You probably have a better opportunity of paying out of pocket than their ability to pay your bills. Some of the private, personal conversations I'll share, you know, my brother-in-law is a physician, and we'll talk about how physicians look at things as well. Safer insurers are not necessarily the most expensive. Well, we already proved that. United, how are you? Good. United Healthcare through AARP is a C+. USAA Life, which was a third of the price, was a B+. And to be honest with you, more often than not, the less expensive ones typically have the better safety rating. Higher premiums do not mean you're getting coverage from a stronger, more financially stable insurance company. And the last secret is you can make the choice. I didn't make this presentation because you always have the choice. That's not a secret. More coverage for less. Reduce your premium. Balance the financial safety of your insurer with your choice of plan. The 4 secrets just rehashed. Medigap plans offer identical coverage. Bless. Medigap plans are standard, but the rates certainly aren't. We all saw that. Safer insurers are not necessarily more expensive. And of course, you can make the choice. That's no secret. One of the things that I didn't go over before was prescription drug coverage. It seems to be a really pinpoint for people because a lot of the supplemental plans don't offer prescription drug coverage, but a lot of the Medicare Advantage plans will offer a small prescription drug coverage. Here I share another personal story. My wife, who is 2 years younger than me, is a polar opposite of me. She runs 5 miles a day, power vinyasa yoga instructor. She looks like she's 25. She actually gets ID'd when we go out, and it's very embarrassing for me because I'm like, what, am I her father or something? Like, come on. Picture of fitness. Never takes medication, never vaccinations, but she's a school teacher, so she was forced to take the vaccination for the COVID. 2 years ago, she got sick. Never, ever in a million years. I was always frightened that I was going to leave her alone for like 25 years because both of her parents lived well into their 80s. My mom passed away in, her early 70s. So I'm like, my father's doing pretty good, but I'm a little frightened there. But the doctor said, you know what? You need medication. You need medication probably for the rest of your life. Of course, my wife, she's from Figuerazzi, right outside of Palermo, Sicily. Hard-headed Sicilian. I don't know if I want to. I said, no, hon, you're taking a medication because you need to take it for the rest of your life. Well, that's okay. Go to the pharmacy, the first medication, $2.67. I'm like, oh, okay, great. The second one was $16.43, and I was like, okay, awesome. And the lady just looked at me like I had 5 heads. And I looked down on the thing, and it said $1,643.
Oh, God.
That was my exact response. And I said, did you go through my insurance? And they said, yeah. Now, again, it's my wife, like my mother. It doesn't matter. I'm going to pay it. Okay, great. My brother-in-law, who's a physician, he runs the family practice for Overlook Hospital in New Jersey. He also runs their clinic there. I called up Joey, and I said, Joey, you got to help a brother out here. I said, Felicia has the issue, and he said yes. And I said, one of these medications, and I gave him the name of the medication, and he said, wow, there is no generic for that one. I said, yeah, thank you, Joey, I know that. And he's like, how much was it? I said, it cost me $1,643. And he said, I I can't help you with that, Tom. It goes against my practice. And Joey is the consummate professional. So he said to me, did you look at GoodRx? And I laughed at him. I said, oh, Joey, are you serious? Are we really having this conversation now? He's like, do you have your phone on you? I said, I'm on the phone with you, Joe. Yeah, I have my phone on me. He said, go to the app, download GoodRx. He's like, we know the name of the script. Put the name of the medication in. He said, you know how many milligrams she needs? Yeah, it's 3 milligrams once a day. I did it, and sure enough, a whole list of pharmacies came out. And I'm looking at the prices, and I'm like, huh? So I went with like the cheapest one, and I'm not saying, again, I'm just gonna mention the company I picked. It was Rite Aid. I hit Rite Aid, and I saw the number, and I said, Joey, this can't be right. And he said, does it have a BIN number? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, go to Rite Aid and ask him. So just like a little schoolboy, I had my phone with my GoodRx BIN number, and I went up and I said, excuse me, if I needed this medication right here, could I get that for this price? And she said, yeah, you have the BIN number and everything. I said, I've never paid more than $34 for her medication. Could you imagine if I didn't do that? I'd be paying $1,600 and something every month, 2 years. GoodRx doesn't always beat everybody, but more often than not, they do. And a lot of times when you go to your pharmacist, even if you have insurance, they actually check. And they'll tell you, oh, you know what? Yeah, we went through your insurance company, but we had a coupon for it. It's a little cheaper. Well, who's ever going to tell them, like, no, I don't want it cheaper? So there are alternatives out there. I do know that Medicare really wants you to have prescription drug coverage. Sometimes I've heard that they've penalized you for that. But just so you know that there are options out there for you so that if you do need prescription drug coverage, I know Mark Cuban has his own resource that a lot of people use, and these are free resources for you. So again, I share a personal experience where I had a money victory. I wish I had the other victory. I'd pay anything to have, her health be optimal, but, at least I saved some good money. So sometimes I like to drop little nuggets here and there. That's one of the nuggets I dropped.
What's an instance where Medicare would charge you a penalty?
One, if you don't apply for Medicare and you're eligible for it. Yeah. Sometimes they will, if you don't take a prescription drug coverage. I've heard that they will hit you with a penalty. I always say when it comes to strategizing, SHIP counselors, they are the experts. They live and they breathe this. They're government employees. All they do all day long is Medicare. And yeah, I'm going to have a slide with all their information as well. Yes?
I would like to ask about your mother.
Mm-hmm.
She was in that nursing home, and could you have changed her insurance on October 15th so it would cover her new nursing home without you boys paying for it?
I could have, yeah. Would she have been severely rated by probably a poor company? Yes. But based upon her cardiovascular issue, she probably would have been declined by a lot. Her cardiovascular issue was dire straits. It was like she doesn't have a whole lot left. So whatever time she was going to have on this earth, I was going to make sure that she had everything she needed. Some common questions. I know we already went over this. This is that Plan F. And I apologize, in my infamous being a typical New Yorker moving quick, this is actually 240. I apologize. That was last year's number. So I do apologize for that. So when you do get the slide, please make a note of that's not 233, it's 240.
I thought you said Plan F didn't exist anymore.
It doesn't. If you had Plan F prior to January 1st, 2020, you're grandfathered into it. They'll let you keep it. They're not going to take it from you. Yeah. Well, that's okay. So here are 3 people that you might want to talk to. 1, your primary care physician. The primary care physician is going to know what kind of medical needs you'll have as you're moving forward. They're the ones that have been taking care of you, so it's really important to ask them, does Medicare Advantage work well? How are the supplemental plans? Do you think I should go with something more comprehensive, or do you think, you know, I'm in optimal health where maybe I need something a little less? Your physician will help you out with that. Talk to the insurance company. It's really important. Ask all of the questions imaginable to the insurance company. A lot of people get solicited by agents and brokers, especially for the Medicare Advantage. Know that it is a law that you have to disclose, if asked, how much you make or what the fee is to do business. When I was a wealth manager, I would have clients, hey, Tommy, how much are you charging me per year? 75 basis points. Tom, in English, 0.75% of your total assets. Your assets go up, I get a raise. Your assets go down, I take less money. So it's a win-win for everybody. Same exact thing with insurance. If you have somebody on a phone and they keep on talking to you about this one plan, do me a favor, ask them, how do you get compensated if I bind this policy? They're required by law to tell you how they get paid. If they tell you, oh, you don't pay me anything, the company does, that means they're being compensated with a commission. That means it's their job to get you to sign on a dotted line or they don't get paid. There are a lot of, especially supplemental companies out there now, that they actually get paid salaries and they get paid bonuses based upon surveys and customer service ratings. Did you feel comfortable with the amount of information that they gave? Did they give you accurate information? And that's how they're rated and judged by it. So always ask that question, how do you get compensated? If they tell you, I get compensated by my from my company, they have no teeth in the game. Do as much information and be as transparent as possible. You know you have the right person on the phone. Second somebody tells you, the company pays me, or I get paid X amount, you can go ahead and you can write that policy and never talk to that person a day in your life again. If you never change that policy and you have that policy for 15 years, every year that person gets paid, even though they've never spoken to you. You had a question?
Got this letter from Cigna that says, Part B give back, get back to $1,200 back in 2025. Like Part B give back, get $1,200 back. Buy your insurance through Cigna. What is that all about?
They caught your attention. You brought it into class with you.
Yeah.
Marketing is a wonderful thing. There could be a lot of merit to that. I don't know. I don't know the specifics to that. And I would say that the last person, ship counselor, they'll let you know what the Part B give back is. And even if there is a Part B give back, they're not going to give you advice on what company to go to or who you should do business with. They'll go over very unique questions, very specific to you, your family medical history. Maybe if you have a spouse or a partner that is currently working and you're under their insurance, they'll give you strategies on how to go about doing that. Is it less expensive for you now to depart from your spouse's insurance and take on Medicare and maybe a supplemental policy? It might be more beneficial for you. They have no tooth in the game. All they do is live and breathe this day in and day out. And I know a lot of times ship counselors actually visit the public library, the local senior centers, as well as town hall. You can also go here and you can set up phone appointments with them. A great resource, an amazing resource. Last nugget I'll leave for this page. Does anybody else know who you might want to ask questions or get their advice.
Friends, neighbors, sometimes.
They'll always steer you the wrong way. If you're going to look for a supplemental plan or even an advantage plan, I always say don't pinpoint to one company. Like here, the lowest one was, what were the two companies that were the cheapest? USAA Life, and the other one was State Farm. Both around the same safety rating, right around the same price. Go to your primary care physician's office manager. Ask them, I'm thinking about using either State Farm or USAA Life. They will point you in the right direction. They deal with the insurance companies all day long. Your physician has no clue. My brother-in-law, Joey, when I was working at Solomon Smith Barney, I had a choice between Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I went to Joey and I said, hey, Joey, I have to pick an insurance plan, and it's either Aetna or Blue Cross. And I didn't even finish saying Blue Cross, but he's like, Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I said, wow, Joey, you were really quick with that. And he said, Aetna was a lot cheaper, wasn't it? I said, yeah. And I said, so no Aetna. He said, I don't accept Aetna anymore. And I was surprised. Aetna's gotten a little better since then. Their safety rating has gone up a little bit. They were actually a D for a while. And he sort of shared with me what they owed the hospital, what they owed the clinic. I was like, wow. And he said, of course, I'm going to continue to treat my patients that have it. I'm not going to deny them that. But if anybody new comes in, only the new physicians are going to see those people because they don't pay. And just like any other business, not everything is the financial cutthroat. Sometimes in medicine, you have to say, it's a service, and we have to get paid for the service. The funny thing is, his office manager said, I knew months in advance on how the red was just growing. Joey had no clue. So that's, again, safety rating, very important. Office manager knows who pays, who's quick with approvals. I walk in and somebody tells me I have an enlarged prostate, I'm nervous as anything. I'm like, what? Like, really? The last thing I want is some 21-year-old kid sitting in a cubicle approving whether or not I'm gonna, I want it, you know what, Tom? You have a good insurance company. We're gonna set the date. This is when you're coming in. I wanna get that done with. I wanna find out what's going on. So again, office manager is the gatekeeper. They'll tell you exactly who is easy to work with. You always wanna work with your office manager because they're always the one that could squeeze you in for appointments too. This is how you could get into, thank you so much. This is how you could get into the Weiss financial ratings through the Schaumburg Public Library System. What?
The supplementary insurance, why they increase the premium every year birthday comes? How do they decide?
Because so when you go in, and this is good for everyone on Zoom land as well, when you go in, you'll see 6 open fields to fill in. First name, last name, email address, age, gender, zip code. The first 3 we could avoid altogether. The first 3 are to get a customized report emailed to you. So if you want it customized, Tom Kilkenny, here's my email address. They're gonna email a customized report with my name and everything else to it. But you could just simply put initials in there, and you'll see there's a disclosure on the lower left-hand side that says ignore at grayhouse.com. That's if you just wanna read it in a PDF file there. The 3 things that we can ignore is age, because as we get a little older, we get a little more brittle. Premiums typically go up every year. Gender plays a vital role. Why? Because all of you ladies have longer life expectancy than us men, so typically premiums are a little less for you. Zip code means everything, because physicians here in Schaumburg, Illinois are charging quite differently than they are in the metropolitan New York area. Those are all gonna affect the premium. And that is why no matter what happens as we get older, the insurance company takes on more risk and they're going to charge for that risk.
So everybody differently price going up,
Correct.
not company decide exactly same.
It's based upon age, gender, zip code. That's exactly how they're going to price you out every single year. And then based upon if you're new to the supplemental plan, on whether or not you go through full underwriting and whether you are approved standard, sometimes will be, knock on wood, preferred. I know Body by Portillo never will get me preferred.
In the older people premium
Will go up.
more higher than younger people.
Oh, yeah.
Then older people doesn't have enough money, no paycheck coming. They gotta pay more money.
It is an unfortunate thing.
Is there any limit to the number of times you can go in and do this?
I could tell you in Schaumburg, thousands upon thousands of times people go on our database and use it. I also will say this to you, if you have loved ones in other states, it's just because you're getting it through Schaumburg doesn't mean you're limited to the Schaumburg zip code. So if you have family in Texas, you just say, hey, what's your age? I know what your gender is, and here's your zip code. What's your email? Because I'm just gonna have this email to you. You might be able to make a few more friends, and you might be able to make some of your relatives happy because they'll get a customized report for their particular area. So, I would be remiss, and it would be very un-New Yorker-like of me to not say thank you for having me here today. I do end almost every presentation with this. I get asked a lot the second week of September to work and visit, and I never, there's one particular day in the second week of September that I never work, and I haven't worked it in 23 years. I worked at 7 World Trade Center, and I worked that day, and I smelt and I seen things that I wouldn't wish on anybody. I was your prototypical Wall Street broker, Ferragamo shoes, Rolex watch, slick back hair, navy suit, baby blue chalk stripes. I didn't care about anything but making money. I was a money-making machine. That day, whew, that changed everything for me. That was mothers, brothers, sisters, made me a 10 times more compassionate person, complete 180. But the one thing that that day taught me, and it was the most valuable thing, is that time is the most precious thing on the face of this earth. You can't buy it, you can't borrow it. And you guys gave me roughly 1 hour and 15 minutes of your precious time. The only thing that I hope is that I was able to add a little bit of value to that time, and if I did, that was time extremely well spent for me, because one of the things that I love doing is helping people. And that's why I love working for Gray House Publishing and Weiss Financial Ratings. And I thank you for visiting us today. And I thank Schaumburg for having me.
Thank you so much, Tom. And just to reiterate, I will be sending out the PowerPoint slides. If you're interested, you can look at those again, and we will also be posting a recording of this presentation on our YouTube channel, and that should be done in the next couple of days. So thanks again, Tom. That was a great presentation.
Thank you. Also, I do want to say this. I visit almost every library in this area. This is the state-of-the-art library. You guys have an amazing library. You have a great resource here, and you have great people like Jean. Definitely utilize them.
We agree.
I went down to Orland Park, and I always say when I walk in there, because I get a chance to go to Yale University, Harvard University, and go into those libraries because they subscribe with us too. And I'll tell you, I walked into Orland Park, and my executive vice president, Jessica Moody, I had to say to her, I'm like, Jess,